Hello, my name is Yannis Labrou. I'm with Verisign. My collaborator, Matt Thomas, also with Verisign, is joining us virtual, and he's in the Q&A remotely. So let's make sure I have this right. Click twice. So there were, in the last few years, there have been a couple of, well, more than a couple, incidents involving aggressive resolver behavior during DNS outages, most notably the Facebook outage and the .club outage and some botnet stuff. And in response to that, my colleagues at Verisign, Matt Thomas, Dwayne Wessels, and Bill Carroll authored RFC 9520 to address negative caching for DNS resolution failures, which updates previous RFC 2308 to require this negative caching. And my goal today is to try to quantify what is that amount of retry queries that we see at the level of the authoritative server during resolution failure scenarios. So I'm going to try to show that the SERVFAIL timeout responses of child zones lead to recursives consistently, persistently, and to a significant size requerying the TLD authoritatives. So it is consistent because we see ASNs, including top talker ASNs from our perspective, that have a pretty consistent percent of their traffic attributed to requerying. It's persistent because we do see SLD.TLD names persist over a long period of times, even though they keep being in a SERVFAIL or timeout status from their child zone. And finally, it is sizable. It is somewhere between 2.5% and 5% of the traffic to the ComNet authoritatives, and for quite a few top talker AESs in the single digits, or somewhere between 10 and 25% of traffic to ComNet authoritatives. I hope this is visible, or visible enough. This is a CDF of the SERVFAIL timeout attributable traffic as a percentage total traffic for a subset of the top 20 top talker ASNs from the ComNet authoritative name servers perspective. So you can see that you have non-trivial percentages of traffic. Sorry, the x-axis is FQDN, the y-axis is the percent of all traffic for that ASN. You can look at the right bottom corner. This is aggregated across all AESs. So a couple of things that I neglected to mention about the data collection. And this is a snapshot, a 5-minute snapshot for traffic to the ComNet authoritatives. We filter for QNAMEs, for FQDNs that get at least 1 query per second to limit the data size that we're working with. And then we take these FQDNs and we check their DNS status by querying the child zone to see if they return back a SERVFAIL or a timeout response. And this allows us to create snapshots like this. We do this multiple times a day, so you're going to see some longitudinal data where these snapshots are aggregated over a period of time. One other thing of note when you look at this chart, using the color coding of purple, or red, I should say, for SERVFAIL and yellow for timeout, is for those AESs that have significant requerying traffic, the FQDNs that have their child zone return SERVFAIL or timeout are top talkers for these AESs themselves, okay, because of the requerying. This is a similar view like the one before, but these are AESs with the highest percent of their traffic being SERVFAIL or timeout due to requerying. You can see that some of them have almost 100% of their traffic being requerying traffic. And this is a different view, stitching together these 5-minute intervals to a longitudinal view. Data goes back to mid-late November of the previous year. And the main observation here is that these percentages of requerying traffic are pretty consistent over a very long period of time. And again, bottom right, across all AESs that we observe, this is somewhere between 2 and 5%. There is the occasional spike or drop, but there is definitely consistency. Similar longitudinal view for those AESs with the highest ratio of SERVFAIL timeout-induced requerying. Very high percentages, consistent, even when they're above 50% or almost 100%. So switching views now, looking at specific SLD.TLD. Each line here represents a time series aggregated to the SLD.TLD level. So you can see that there is a significant number of names that, even though they return SERVFAIL with a timeout or timeout response from the child zone, over a long period of time, they keep being queried from AESs. And not shown here is typically each one of these names has 1 or 2 AESs that query it. So 90% plus of the traffic is coming from a single, maybe a couple, most of the time a single AES. Now, occasionally we see icky SLD.TLD names, so they show up for one observation window and then they disappear. They might show up again, but they do not tend to persist, and they have pretty high query rates. We do not know why this happens. We do not know that they go back to giving a no error response, or for some reason the recursives themselves adjust and they don't requery for them again and again. And in general, this is an area of further research and collaboration. We do not know what is the relationship between incoming queries to the recursive and queries to the authoritative. Does a higher number lead to, of incoming queries to the recursive lead to much higher numbers to the authoritative? Is this a linear, quadratic, exponential relationship? We have no idea what is taking place. So occasionally when we have extraordinary events, we do reach out to operators. So in this case, there was a single domain that had misconfigured name servers. We got a huge number of queries, close to 80,000 queries per second, which is a very big number for us. We reached out to the operator. The issue was fixed, and you can see the traffic dropping pretty drastically. In closing, requerying is consistent, persistent, and sizable. In normal times, it's annoying, it's inefficient, but it is not impactful, okay? It doesn't make a difference. During disruptive events, such as the Facebook outage, it could be very unpredictably impactful to the resolution ecosystem, and that's why we encourage the implementation of negative caching as proposed in the RFC 9520. And of course, we are available to collaborate with operators to assess the relationship between the number of requests to the resolver and the SERVFAIL timeout and the resulting requerying frequency. Thank you.
Here's one question coming, it seems.
Ben Schwartz, Meta. How did you understand the status of the child zones? Did you must have sent probes to them?
Yes. We have an infrastructure where we can use it to query the child zone for the FQDN that we observed and process the response. Yes.
What is that infrastructure normally for? What is its main? What is the main purpose of that infrastructure that you use?
It is part of the infrastructure that we use for stability purposes. security and stability of the infrastructure purposes.
Interesting. Did you consider that some of those domains may have differential responses depending on the client IP, depending on who's asking?
No, we did not. No.
Thank you.
Some of them also, alternatively, we would do just a straightforward dig type of querying to see what the response is. Parallel, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.